Now, as you'll all know, I'm a very, very lucky boy indeed, and one of the reasons why I'm so lucky is I've spent more time in Ferrari's amazing F12 than most of my colleagues, doing things like this. Insert the shot now, Neil. And as you'll see from those images, that car is capable of eviscerating its back tyres in a way I didn't think was possible. In fact, given the grip available, it's one of the most overpowered cars I've ever driven. So Ferrari has logically given it some more power. Welcome to the F12 TDF.
The change from Berlinetta to TDF is big. Power goes up to 780 horsepower and torque to 520 foot-pounds. It now revs to 8,900 RPM. Upshift speeds are cut by 30%, downshifts by 60%, overall gearing is down 6%. 0 to 124 miles an hour takes just 7.9 seconds, and Ferrari stopped bothering to identify the top speed at 211 miles an hour. It'll go faster, but this is a track car, so who cares? At 1,415 kilograms dry, it's 110 kilograms lighter too. Most of the bodywork is carbon, and the rear treatment is so different the rake of the screen has changed. The chassis is very different too. Massive 275 section fronts bring much more front grip, and the front to rear balance is then managed by a rear steering system. And the aerodynamics? Well, just look at it. Everything has been tweaked and kicked and peeled to add downforce without resorting to a massive rear wing. You could peer into its semi-porous skin for hours. And that's before you spot the flaps in the diffuser that deploy to stall it and reduce drag in a straight line. DRS for the road, anyone? Only 799 will be built, and yep, you've guessed it, they've all been sold. I wonder what it's like to drive.
No word of a lie, this thing scared the shit out of me first time round. I've just done a couple of laps, let it move around a bit, and guess what? It still scares the shit out of me. Let me tell you what it's about and why it represents a series of little incremental steps over an F12 that come together to create comfortably the most ridiculous Ferrari I've driven. Not the fastest, but the most aggressive, potentially the most spiteful, potentially the most rewarding. This is an angry car. All about the front axle. So we come up to this corner just before the bridge. I turn the wheel and I've already, even on a slightly cold tyre, got 20% more front end grip. That means that the rear struggles to follow. That's why we've got the four-wheel steering, because it just can't generate the same amount of purchase on the road. But it does mean that when you leave the systems on, you are in the traction control the whole time. So coming out of this little hairpin here, again, I'm just flat now. I've got no slip and I just let it do it for me. When it revs out to 9, I am just, it's ridiculous. This fast left-hander here, much quicker than an F12. Again, I'm using the traction the whole time because I haven't the spare capacity to do it otherwise. I can't do it without it, really. Gotta be a little bit careful here. There's a speed limit at the moment down the main straight, which is a shame. But actually, for the first time ever, I'm quite glad there's a speed limit down the straight because it saves me having to drive like a complete moron. We'll get back on the gas in a second. And away we go. So, it's angry. Everything about this car just feels angrier than the F12. And even though the differences on paper aren't huge, that front axle, that extra angry engine, they come together. Of course, when you turn the car to get all that front axle grip, you do end up with the rear wanting to rotate with it. I'm not really aware of the rear steering. I'm just aware of the fact that it feels shorter of wheelbase than in the normal F12. Wow, gear changes are just violent. The whole car is just kind of at you. But if it feels on the edge of a nervous breakdown with the systems on, when you turn them off, I'll do it for you, but I have to say I've been myself every time. I mean, I've spun at this corner twice on cold tyres. I don't know what will happen now. And then through here, I mean, just manage it with the TC off. It wants to oversteer, everywhere, even 120, 130 miles an hour, you know that you're millimeters away from a big slide. Can I tell you also, interestingly, I've never been further away from the argument about manual or paddles. If this car had a manual gearbox, I wouldn't be able to keep up. I just wouldn't have a clue what I was doing. It's all happening too quickly for me. So it has to be paddles. No argument. I mean, between 7.5 and 9, the engine is devastating. This is third gear, and already, look, what? I could continue that slide to the next corner if I so wished, but my cojones are not big enough. What a machine. But do you know what? It's not all about just how fast it is. They talk about lap time. It's a couple of seconds off a Ferrari. It's the fact that it just wants to do that every turn. And the fact that I had a heart rate monitor on. I'm probably on it at the moment in a way I haven't been in a street car in a long time. This is not so much a car as a Class A substance. It's a magnificent piece of work. I'd like to meet the poor bugger that can drive it on the road fast with all the systems switched off, because it isn't me. What'd it be like in the wet? I mean, it's Armageddon. Amazing machine. I'm gonna go and have a beer, I think. Deary God. What's the world come to? You can buy one of these. Anyone can buy one of these if they have money. The world's gone mental. I find it amazing that any human being with money can buy that, because it's outrageous, completely outrageous. I refer you back to the things I was saying in the vehicle. I've got nothing more to add. I'm just totally befuddled by the speed of it, the aggression of it. Everything about it is just insane. Not often I'm lost for words, but Neil, you'll have to finish the film there.